to Matt Smurda.
Wow. Thanks. I'll do that later. I am Matt Smurda. I'm the family law attorney of the group. I don't have a presentation ready today because I am subbing in last minute, so please do bear with me. I'll do the best I can to keep things moving and improvise. As Jennifer said, I'm from Los Angeles. I've been here pretty much all my life. My wife Emily and I met here in 2002. We've been married about 8 years. We have 2 great kids together, Paisley, who's 6, our daughter, and Cruz, our son, who's 3. So I've got my hands full with them, and when I'm not spending time with them, I'm working on my practice, which is family law. And when I joined the group almost a year ago now, I was working for a firm actually right across the street. And during that period of time from then till now, I've had so much growth professionally, and a big part of that is this group. So thank you to everyone who's been kind enough to refer people to me who have entrusted their friends and family and colleagues. I appreciate that. And it's made it possible for me to go out on my own, which is something I've always wanted to do. And I couldn't be happier. I'm in my 7th month now of my own practice. Beyond that, I've never had to work so hard, but it's been rewarding, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Beyond that, I've been practicing family law officially for about 7 years now. I worked for 2 years before that in the same firm that I started with, so I've got 9 years of experience, and before that I worked in other areas. And as you heard, I have a wide variety of experiences in my background, including the Abercrombie & Fitch on the Santa Monica Boulevard with my shirt off one day, which was wonderful, which Mark deems a modeling experience. So anyways, for those who might not know, a lot of people hear the term family law, they don't know what it means, so I'll briefly break that down. It's an umbrella term that covers a number of different legal issues, the most obvious of which is divorce. But it covers other things as well. It covers the child custody and the child support issues that come about regardless of whether the parents are married or not. It covers all aspects of same-sex relationships, whether they've been married, whether they have a registered domestic partnership, or whether they've just lived together. It also includes the issue of what's called palimony in California. So a common misconception is people say, oh, well, I'm in California, we don't have common law marriage. And that's true, but we have kind of the functional equivalent, which is palimony. And it's interesting because divorce cases and other family law cases are handled by a judge, whereas a palimony case is actually decided by a jury. So people often think, oh, I haven't gotten married, and I'm in the clear. I'm in the clear. That's the Gene Simmons mindset. And it's not true. You actually can expose yourself to even more risk by living with someone, by committing to someone, by establishing a financial arrangement, and still not being married. There's still obligations. Another area of my practice are certain types of agreements. I do prenuptial agreements or prenups. I do postnuptial agreements, which are basically prenups after you're married. And there's a whole set of things you have to consider when you do that. And then I also do cohabitation agreements, which are for those folks who are living together and are not married and want to make sure that they have their relationship defined and explained. And another common agreement that I do, is particularly in the Beverly Hills area, is the non-marital relationship agreement, or the sugar daddy, sugar baby. And those are important as well, because if you are a sugar daddy, you are exposing yourself to liability, or sugar mama, we don't want to discriminate. And so another thing I always, people always ask me, well, why in the world did you get into this practice area? I don't really know anybody in my field who as a child dreamed of growing up to be a divorce attorney. It's just not a common thing. And it is a tough practice area, but it's also very rewarding, and that's part of the reason why I got into it. Initially, I fell into it. Coming out of law school, there were not a lot of opportunities in the fields that I wanted to pursue. I had a finance and accounting background. I thought I was going to do something in banking or business, and there just weren't opportunities for me to get a job in that. And one area, which was recession-proof, because at the time there was a recession, is divorce. That happens all the time. And in fact, sometimes a bad market can cause a divorce. So I jumped into an opportunity and I ran with it, and it was with a great firm that was large by family law standards, about 10 attorneys. And we handled a wide variety of cases, mostly for high net worth people. And I was able to use my finance and accounting skills in those types of cases. So it was a good kind of crossover between my original interests and what I ended up loving. And I look back now and I see I was kind of made to do this. I'm a child of divorce. I have about 7 divorces to date in my family, and I say about because you never know when number 8 might be brewing. And so I get it from the client side of things, and I know how hard it is. I know how costly it is, and it's a responsibility that I take very seriously in all my cases, because not only is my client's financial livelihood on the line, but their children, their family, their reputation, everything, their business, every part of their life is on the line in divorce, and I take that responsibility very seriously. And another area that I do handle is, and it's a bit of a crossover with criminal law, is domestic violence issues, which you heard about in my intro. I'd like to work with victims of domestic violence, because it's when you go downtown and you see these people that don't know what they're doing, they're in a terrible situation, they have no one to help them. And they try and get help from the help center, and it's almost like going to the help desk at the DMV to do that. And if you could imagine your safety and the safety of your children on the line with somebody from the DMV counseling you, not very good. And there are clinics out there, but they're so overwhelmed and underfunded. So that's kind of an ambition of mine, would be to grow my practice and bring in young attorneys who need experience and give them that experience for people who need help. But I was trying to scramble to think of things to talk about today. Last night, I figured, well, I may as well work backwards. So I said, all right, well, let's start with what I was doing yesterday. So yesterday, I was in court in Santa Monica, actually as co-counsel with Lewis, our new criminal law attorney. He brought me in on a case that he was handling, which started having some family law crossover issues, so we worked together on it. And our client was an amazing young woman. She is a UCLA medical student. She came from nothing. She was a poor family in the Midwest. She was homeless at 16, joined the Army at 17, served for almost 5 years, including a full year in Iraq, helping wounded soldiers over there. Went to college on the GI Bill, #1 in her class, undergrad, literally #1, and got a full scholarship to UCLA. So, and her ambitions were to do global health, to go to Africa, doing research on children affected by HIV. So just a wonderful person. And she had the poor fortune of striking the interest of a man who came from a wealthy family from Utah at UCLA Medical School, who became consumed with her and actually followed her home after a medical school social event and attempted to sexually assault her in her apartment. And she was a combat veteran, so there was a struggle, and she defended herself. She fought off the assault. She was not hurt at all. The guy left and everything was fine. He left with a black eye and some shame. and that was great. But the unfortunate thing was it led to why I got involved, which is his family was concerned about his future. So they hired an attorney, and that attorney took a preemptive strike. The attorney sought a restraining order against my client. Okay, so let that sink in for a minute. The victim is now the subject of a restraining order. Okay? And there's a lot on the line, not just the fact that there would be a restraining order, but #1, if there's a restraining order, how do you go to class? Because you can't be around this person. And #2, a restraining order goes into something called the CLETS system, which, for just a simple explanation, is kind of like going on your permanent record. So if you're going to be searching for a job in the next 4, 5, 10 years, guess what's going to come up on that background search? Restraining order for domestic violence. So we were literally fighting for her entire career, everything she had worked on building. And she was a nervous wreck. I mean, she was just a total wreck about this, understandably, couldn't sleep. And so Lewis and I worked together. We came up with a strategy, and we just blitzed this guy back. We sought a restraining order against him, a civil harassment order against him. We encouraged her to go file a Title IX action against him, which is the administrative proceedings that you deal with within a public school for the sexual assault. And yesterday, we show up to court, ready to rock and roll. I got my outline ready to cross-examine this guy. I've got pictures, I've got everything, I've got text messages, everything great. And we walk into the courthouse, and his attorney comes over to us and says, okay, we're going to drop everything. So we walked away. And she was so relieved, she was so happy. She was going back to class today, and that was an amazing outcome. time now. Each case, regardless of whether it's a multi-million-dollar business owner or a student, I take them seriously and I treat them the same. I represent all kinds of people. My client list right now ranges from, I have a writer who writes for several TV shows, a business owner who has a business that builds sets for different events and TV and film productions. I have a chemistry professor, this medical student, number of stay-at-home moms who need assistance, a fire captain. It really doesn't matter. I can represent anybody. People you can refer to me. It's somewhat easy to know how to refer business to me. Obviously, if you hear somebody is facing an issue, they're considering ending their marriage, have them give me a call. I'm happy to give advice, and it happens all the time. People give me a call trying to consider things. So thank you, everyone.
Hold on. I'm not done with you yet. So first of all, I want to thank you because Matt pulled it together at the last second. We had a couple members that couldn't make it, and Jennifer asked him to step up. So thank you very much for stepping up. Big